Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you've had a wonderful week. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, welcome on back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who are brand new to Mental Health Moment, we are here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. And for those of you who are watching the replay on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page, be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the page. So welcome. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment here. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment is all about how do you work on becoming the best version of who you are so you can show up powerfully for yourself and for the people around you. So again, welcome. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know in the chat where you may be tuning in from today. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, I reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. And hopefully my comments will start to come in here. But yeah, let me know where you're tuning in from here in the chat. I'm going to go through a couple of quick announcements and then I will start today's mental health moment. And I will put this in the chat, even though I do apologize that for some reason my comments, when I put it in the chat, it does not go through to LinkedIn for some reason. So I apologize for my LinkedIn family here, but I don't know why that is. But you should see it on Facebook and also on YouTube. So first quick announcement. So I will be speaking. There is a conference called The Gathering in Tampa Bay. It is July 23rd through 25th, 2026. So be sure to register for the conference. I am super excited to be there. It is hosted by Bishop Bishop MB Jefferson, Dr. Brenda Jefferson, and Bishop Designate Calvin Jefferson. So they're hosting this amazing event. I'm super excited to be there, of course, to talk about mental wellness. There's a lot of different great topics about leadership, about spirituality, about mental health. There's a lot of different experts in a lot of different areas. It's going to be a great event. I'm excited to be there. I will put in the comments how you can register for it. It is WAF as in Frank international.org. So WAF as in Frank international.org. I'm going to put in the comments here now, but like I said, I apologize for the LinkedIn family that it does not go through on LinkedIn for some reason, but it will on YouTube and Facebook. So maybe someone from LinkedIn, if you could put it in the chat, that would be awesome. But again, WAF as in Frank international.org is how you can register. It is July 23rd through 25th. 2026. It'll be, as I mentioned, in Tampa Bay, and it's called The Gathering. So I'm, like I said, just really excited. I've met some of the speakers there that are going to be there who are just phenomenal people. Actually, one of the speakers was on Mental Health Moment. For those of you who tuned in last month, a couple weeks ago, BJ Daniels, he will be there. Another good friend of mine, Delano Johnson, will be there. Just really great, phenomenal group of people. But again, it's WAF international.org. If you want to register, I hope to see you there. If you are going to be there, just let me know. Send me a DM on some social media outlet of mine and let me know so I can look out for you. And there is another conference as well. But once I get that information that is open to the public, I will definitely give you all the information, obviously, to register for that one as well. But again, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know in the chat where you may be tuning in from here today. Hopefully I will see the comments. Sometimes they come in late. I don't know why. But hopefully I can see your comments at some point during this live here. But today I wanted to share with you a couple of things. So as you all know, or maybe you know, that of course we're already in June, which is crazy. It is now Men's Mental Health Awareness this month. So I wanted to talk to you all today about, how to think about supporting the men in your lives, whether that is your father, your grandfather, your uncle, your neighbor, your coworker, your significant other, or whomever, brother, whomever it may be in your life. because it's really important, especially this month as we talk about men's mental health awareness, that it's not just for the men out there, right? So I know there's a lot of women also watching this broadcast, obviously, but it's about how to take care of yourself if you are a male, but also even as not being a male, how to support the men in our lives, right? Because a lot of times there's this, I don't know, kind of like old school notion of like you have to be so strong and you can't show any emotions. And if you show emotions, that means you're weak, and all these things that are not at all true. So it's been especially a huge burden on a lot, specifically on a lot of men who hold a lot of things inside. And I've talked to many people at this point in my career about all sorts of things, but it's interesting how there's a stigma of mental health in general, but there's also a stigma, unfortunately, right, of men saying like, hey, I'm sad or I'm nervous or I'm, having different emotions, which is normal, right, to have emotions and just be struggling with different things that happen and pop up in life. Oh, now I can start to see the link or the LinkedIn comments here. But hi from Virginia, welcome back. Someone said great topic. Are the men okay? Absolutely. And I mean, not always, right? So the first tip I wanted to, sort of remind you all today, because we are talking today about men's mental health, even if you're not a man watching this, but you know, as a non-male, like making sure we're supporting, right? But a lot of times, sometimes we say to someone like, how are you? Right? Like a quick how are you? Usually people are like good, and then we move on about our way. But it's really important to also recognize that sometimes there's a lot that's behind someone saying like, "I'm fine, I'm good." Right? Like sometimes there's a lot, sometimes a lot of times there's a lot that is happening, right, to people. So it's really important, and again, depending on who this particular person is in your life, obviously the closer they are, maybe you can dig a little deeper, right? But it's sort of like what's really going on, right? How are you really doing? Have you noticed anything? You don't have to be a mental health professional to notice. Sometimes your gut feeling just tells you your friend or your family member or your significant other or person at a place of worship, coworker, whomever it is, like sometimes you just see like, wait a minute, I don't, something seems off, right? Like, are you really okay? You don't seem yourself, or maybe something that happened in their life. Like all those sorts of things, like it is important again to be checking in and digging a little deeper if you're able to, right? Because it really it really, really goes a long way when people feel like someone cares about them. It really does. I can tell you that, I mean, just not even from textbooks and research, but so many people that I've spoken to from all different walks of life, at this point in my career, whether it's at a speaking engagement, whether it's the clinical work I do, or wherever I've spoken to people all over, right? And it's just so amazing to me still that there's so much power in connecting with people. There's so much power in people feeling like someone understands them or someone just cares, right? There's a lot happening in the world. Like I always say, you all, a lot is happening. There's a lot of distractions. But again, when you're checking in, not just like a quick, like, how are you doing? But also like, how are you really doing? Right? Is there anything that's stressing you? Is there anything I could do to support you? Like asking those type of questions, it really goes a long way. And for those of you who are just starting to tune in here, hey, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Today we're talking about, the value of checking in also with the men in our lives. So maybe you're, a male watching this, and it's okay to check in with another male, right? Or maybe you're not a male watching this and thinking about right now, like the men in your life, whoever they may be, family members, friends, significant other, whomever they may be, and really thinking about and understanding that, because especially of the stigma with men's mental health, a lot of times men are very silent and suffering through a lot of different mental health issues, right? So my second tip of the day actually is to, sort of recognize too that success, we do this all the time. Well, we're guilty of it, I would say, as a society sometimes. Sometimes success does not mean that someone is doing well as far as mentally well, right? So you can see this particular person. Again, today we're talking about men's mental health. You can see this particular person that's in your life, maybe someone you care about, and they may have that promotion, and they may have that quote unquote good job, or they may have that house or the car or whatever success, means a lot of times we think of success as material things or work or whatever that looks like. So maybe on the outside, right, they look successful, but mentally and emotionally, how are they really doing? Right? There's a lot of people who have a lot of success and feel very empty inside, that are struggling with depression or struggling with anxiety or struggling with grief or loss or something else going on with them. But on the outside, right, especially on social media, social media lies to us sometimes, right? Especially on social media, the outside, what we see, what we think we see, right? The success hides what is really happening internally, right? So that's not always, what do they say? Like, don't judge a book by their cover, right? It's the same thing when it comes to mental health. Sometimes we are judging people. We're like, yeah, they're good, they're strong. Look, they just got that promotion. They have their life together, right? Like they're looking like they're holding it together, but really inside they're breaking down and they're having a hard time, which is why it's so important to be connecting with people, which is why it's so important to make sure that we're checking in with others, to make sure that we're random acts of kindness, huge fan of that, like whatever it is that you can do to work on uplifting people, specifically today, since we're talking about men's mental health, checking in with the men in your life. There's just not, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's resources out there, but the problem always is that I've seen in the mental health field is that it's like people either they don't know about the resources or they know about the resources, but because of the stigma of mental health, they're not going to use the resources all the time. So guess what that means, y'all? As a community, though, we have an opportunity to help people. And I'm going to believe that since you're here on Mental Health Moment, watching that you have a giving heart. Right. So I guess what I'm saying today is what I'm asking you to do is to really think about who it is. Like when you even listen to this broadcast and you're thinking of what particular man in your life do you need to reach out to? Do you need to like check in with? If it's the text message, a quick email, a phone call, FaceTime, whatever it is, in whatever way, who is it you need to check in with? Again, it could be your dad, it could be your brother, it could be your uncle, it could be your friend, it could be your significant other, whoever, right? But who is it that you really need to say, let me just check in on them. And I promise you, it's not always the people that you think, some things, right? You may know some things going on with people around you, and you're like, oh, I know this happened to them and that happened. They're struggling with this sort of thing. Those people too, important, but it's also the people that you don't think you need to check in on that you need to check in on. That's just how silent sometimes mental health can be and mental health struggles can be, especially for men. So make sure you're checking in. Oh, let me read some of your comments here. Um, Someone said it's hard. It's so hard for a man to say, I'm not okay. I'm tired. But it said, hey man, you're a man, deal with it. The $1 billion question is how. Yes. And I'm so glad you brought that up. And gosh, I know. I know. I totally get you. It is very true. Mm, it is so ingrained. And I know this is a global show here. So there's, people watching from all over the world. But in a lot of places, it is not okay, right? It feels like, I should say, it feels like it's not okay for a man to say, I need help, because there's this mentality of, um, just man up or just be strong or you don't need anyone else to help you. But it's like, but I know the data, like when it comes to mental health, like there's a lot of struggles though. And then like what always is hard for me, you all, is that there are people that are struggling unnecessarily. Like that is so heartbreaking sometimes to think about. Like there are people that are struggling unnecessarily because of a viewpoint we have of like, yeah, just, man up type of thing. And it's like, well, no, no, actually, because there's help available and help comes in many different forms. Yes, of course, there's therapy if that's needed. There's friendships, there's people at places of worship, there's positive coworkers, there's positive family members, friends, support group. Like there's a range of different ways to receive support, right? And there's levels that are needed for support. There are some things that, yes, just need professional help. But there's also some things that really can be helped through like friends and family members and other people, right? There's a whole spectrum when it comes to help. But I'm glad you brought that up, that it unfortunately there is that stigma again and that thought process, which just because we've done things for a long time, you all, doesn't mean we always have to do things that way, right? Hopefully, we evolve as people, we evolve as societies and say, you know what? Maybe that wasn't just a good idea to be thinking like that and to having people suffering unnecessarily, dealing with a whole lot of mental health issues on their own, getting to really, really dark places in their life. um, a lot of negative things happening because of those mental health issues that weren't even addressed, right? Um, Someone said, "Good evening from California. Welcome. Thanks for joining here." Someone said, "Thank you for picking this topic." Absolutely. Someone said, "Me, myself, and I haven't had time for that conversation in a minute." You know what, though? Let me tell you. Okay. You gotta go. You guys are gonna make me go on my soapbox. I do have another tip, but I like reading y'all's comments. So what I will say about that. So for some of you that may be new to mental health moment, this is a very like I say like the non-judgment zone. Like, so what we're not gonna do in this time, I'm in talk moment is I really don't want you all to play any sort of self-blame game, right? Because what happens a lot of times when it comes to mental wellness is you have a light bulb moment, which is so cool. That's one of the coolest things. I love when people have light bulb moments, right? You have a light bulb moment, meaning you go, you know what? Like you might look at yourself, you're like, why would I think that way? Or how could I think that way? Or I haven't done my self-care, or whatever it is, right? That you realize you're like, oh wait, I need to change some things in my life for the better. Yay, good revelation. But then for some of you, what starts to happen is you go into the self-blame game. You're like, how could I do this? Why did I do this? Why didn't I do this earlier? Like all those sort of thought process start to happen. So I encourage you today to work on not going down that path, right? Because I get excited for y'all when you all put in the comments like things you're learning. Yay. That's why I'm here, y'all. Oh no. But things you're learning, things you're implementing, even if again you have those aha moments and you're like, oh man, I didn't realize this about myself. That is a good thing. And it's I know it's hard sometimes because we always want to look at the past or a past version of ourselves. However, it like you can live the past version of yourself for a second, right? But then we want to move forward and be like, okay, thank goodness you learned whatever it is you learned, and now you're moving forward. We're moving forward, right, with this information, right, and to take better care of yourselves, like those sorts of things, right? So it's all good. So to the person in the comments that said that, it's all good. But I do want to encourage you, like I said today, that men absolutely still need help too. I know I get it. I've spoken to probably thousands of men at this point in my career at, like I said, just different projects I've been involved with, whether it's clinical work, whether it's speaking engagements, just a lot of people. And I've heard a lot of stories. And it's still though important to know. So if you're a man, a male watching this, to know that it is okay for you not to be okay sometimes. And if you're not, um, you're not a man watching this, for you to know that it's our it would be helpful, for us also to be supporting the men in our lives as well, right? So either way, we have a role. Working on supporting yourself, working on reaching out for help, and I know it's hard, or working on supporting the people who are around you. Okay, my last tip of the day. For those of you who are just tuning in here, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Today we have been talking about men's mental health. I do know that this is a Black Women Empowered Incorporated network, but it's also important again for us to learn how to support men in our lives, especially when it comes to mental health. There's a lot of silent struggles that are happening, are continuing to happen, just people not feeling supported, people feeling like it's not okay to get help. A lot of silent struggles that are happening, right? So it's important too that we're reaching out, important that we're checking in with others. And the last thing that I wanted to leave you with today is to really think I'm my hope, um, being in the mental health field for so long, my hope is that we can continue to really normalize these sorts of conversations about mental health. I feel like in what, almost 2 decades, I mean, yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of change for the better, actually, way better, way better than 2 decades ago. But I hope that we continue to normalize these conversations. So again, hopefully the conversation that you're having with whomever it is in your life about being okay, about, their mental health and their wellness and well-being is not like, I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be like this big scary topic. Like, oh, today we want to talk about your mental health. And it's right. Like it's a big scary thing almost, but almost like normalize it. If you're taking a walk with that person, if you're in a car ride with that person, if you're on the phone or, however you communicate with said person in your life, like I'm hoping it's like it becomes normalized, as in you're checking in. It's okay, right? It's okay. That person feels safe with you, or maybe they do need help of a mental health professional or whomever it is, that person feels safe and feels comfortable. I know I even talked to I had a colleague who owns like a barbershop, and he was just telling me how, in that setting, like he's not a mental health professional, he's a barber, but he was saying how like in that setting for him, he kind of feels like he's a mental health professional, and he's doing his best to support the different men that come into his shop, and there's a lot of talk in there about different topics, which is needed, right? Sometimes like just having those safe spaces. And so what I'm saying is you don't have to be a barber necessarily, but in what way can we as a community be more supportive, right? There's a lot which excites me online. There's a lot of different forums right now. I've seen more talk about men's mental health, which also is exciting, right? But again, even the people around you, like how can you best support them? Um, and thanks for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I was seeing you all's comments and then it sort of paused. So I never know what the comments. I'm so sorry. It kind of goes in and out sometimes. Um, but but again, thinking about, how can you normalize these conversations um with people around you, and not just thinking of it as like, I feel like when it comes to mental health, one of the issues sometimes is we I think society tends to think of mental health as like the most extreme mental health disorder. It's like we think of extreme disorders that like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or something that's like it affects like a small percentage of the population, and that is not all that mental health is. Yes, that is a part of mental health, but every single one of us on the planet have mental health. How we're doing, how is our health with our emotions and our mental state and our emotional well-being, like that is very different than like a mental health disorder. Um, so just keeping that in mind, again, don't wait until you see this person in front of you that you care about, like breaking down, getting to like the worst dark place they can get to. If you see warning signs, we've talked about this at length, right? I'm mental health moment, but even when you start to see warning signs, when you start to feel, like I said, this could be your friend. They're like, oh, I feel like something's a little off. Like, are you making sure to be checking in with them? If you know certain resources, share that with them, right? And I totally get it. Not everybody wants to go therapy, not everybody wants professional help. I get that, but some people do, right? So are you making sure to share those resources? Or again, there's a lot of ways for people to get help. Checking in on someone is a way to support them, right? Being there for them, however you can support them, asking them what they need, right? To support, even especially when they're going through rough times. That is a really supportive thing to do, right? But okay, so but I appreciate you all tuning in today for sure. Again, wrapping up here today's mental health moment. If you ever miss a mental health moment, the replays are always on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page. So you can always go on there. If you tuned in a little bit later, let me just give you one more time that website to register for the conference. It's also on some of my social media platforms, but I'll just let you know. It's called The Gathering. Let me put it in the comments here one more time. Um, so it's called The Gathering. I'll be speaking at The Gathering. It's July 23rd through 25th. It is in Tampa Bay, Florida. And you can register at WAF Inter, oops, international.org. org to register for the gathering. It's called the Gathering 2026. So that's the name of the conference. So as I promised you all this year, I will continue to invite you all to any conferences or speaking engagements I have that are open to the public. Of course, I'll invite you all to that and give you the information if you're in town or whatever state that I may be in. If it's not open to the public, I apologize. Some of them are private events, so I apologize. I can't invite you all, obviously. But when they are open, which this one is, then I will obviously let you all know. So WAF is in Frank, international.org is where you can register. It's going to be amazing. I'm super excited about it. A ton of amazing spiritual leaders are going to be there. There's different expertise, different people with different expertise will be there. I will be there, obviously talking about mental wellness, and it's going to be a really great event. So if you can make it, again, it is July 23rd through 25th in Tampa Bay. I would love to see you there. Okay, wrapping up today's mental health. Someone said, this was a wonderful conversation. Thank you for bringing this experience to us, Dr. Hammond. You're absolutely positively welcome. Thank you all, each and every one of you all, for being here for yourselves, of course, right? How to help yourself and how to help others. That's what Mental Health Moment is about. But I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here live on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Be blessed. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.